I'd like to bring the Adams District 14 Board of Education meeting to order at 6:35. I thank all you people for being here again. Councilman Douglas, thank you for coming and attending. Everybody else here, thank you for being here. It is your meeting. We do conduct business here, so I'd also like to make a personal thank you to the board members on the board today because we've been awfully busy. I'd like to thank them for their participation and continuing to do the work that needs to be done. So I thank you guys for being here at all the meetings that we've got scheduled and in advance for tomorrow. So with that, I call the meeting to order. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd also like to have a moment of silence for everything that happened in Florida, for the staff and the students that were there. So if we can take a moment of silence, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Can I have a roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Here.
Dr. Hyde?
Here.
Mrs. Quintana? Here. Mr. Rolla?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of February the 13th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I have a roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
I also need a motion to approve the minutes of February the 15th, 2018.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I have a roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Lastly, can I get a motion for the February 22nd, 2018 minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I have a roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I have a roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Now we'll move into audience comments. Valerie Shearer and Khalib Smith. Can I stop you for 1 second, please? I do need to read this. The Adams County 14th School Board invites all persons wishing to address issues during the audience comment portion of the agenda. Individuals should state their name and address aloud. Remarks should be limited to 3 minutes or less, and the speaker will be prompted when he or she has reached 30 seconds left to speak. Okay, thank you.
Valerie Scherer, 6920 East 66th Avenue.
Is the mic on?
Is your mic on?
I believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
Caleb Smith, 7070 Dexter Street. There used to be a clear standards in dress codes as to what you could wear, or what you can wear and you can't wear. If dress codes exist, they need to be clear and fair. We believe that we could bring about a change that would help part of your dress code cleaner, and what we're hoping for is fair.
We've been researching school dress codes for a couple weeks now, and in all that time we have found almost no proof that dress codes against gang member colors help curb gang violence.
Not only that, but dress codes rules that target gangs were almost all about symbols, not their colors.
Understandably, we'll explain why we feel this no red, no blue rule at Adams City has accomplished nothing, and we will present an alternative solution.
They're taking this rule to a point of minor blue or red on clothing is not only absurd, but also possibly violation of freedom of speech. As opposed to uniform dress codes still allow students to wear what they want, which leaves students with a sense of choice and expression. But their choices are so limited that now that red and blue is not allowed. According to the Atlantic, 2 questions arise regarding the dress code to curb gang influence and gang violence. First, are the dress codes constitutional? In other words, do dress codes infringe on the free speech rights of students to express themselves in the school environment? Second, is there research showing that dress code policies are effective in reducing violence and influence of gangs at school?
Regarding the second question, whether dress codes have any impact on reducing school violence, research does not support the position that school rules restricting student clothing have any significant effect on safety and security. Since there is no evidence to support the current enforcements, we will give some suggestions on different ways to handle gangs in schools.
Since we couldn't find much proof that dress codes like this existing or working, we looked at some other solutions. There's one example of a dress code impacting school culture, but it involves a mandated uniform. In the year following establishment of the uniform policy, Long Beach school officials found that overall school crime decreased 36%, fights decreased 51%, sex offenses decreased 74%, weapon offenses decreased 50%, assault and battery offenses decreased 34%, and vandalism decreased 18%. Less than 1% of the students chose not to wear the uniform.
But in order to have a mandated uniform, the school would be required by law to pay for students' uniforms if a student cannot afford it. A school must enforce the mandated uniform to all students.
This would ensure that no portrayal of gang involvement, but at what cost? There is a good chance that this would become more of a problem than the current one.
This may not seem like a big problem, but it's a deeper situation than we can portray. We don't want the rule completely expunged, but to go what it used to be. If you're wearing mostly or all one solid color, then you'd have to change.
Present considered lessening this rule if you indeed pass for ACHS. Gangs are deeper than the color, but they communicate within their group more or with symbols. Remember, you're not the student unless you could pay for the kid to get a new bag or shoes, because their red and blue rule is impractical.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jorge Garcia.
My name is Jorge Garcia. You have my address there. I'm the executive director of CABE. Our organization's business merchant service address is in Adams 14 School District. I'm speaking to, I personally live in St. Vrain School District. I'm speaking to business item 1.2, out-of-state travel to San Francisco for quality teaching for English learners, QTEL. You are asked there to approve $95,000 to send 18 people for a 1-week course. Please be fiscally responsible. Do not approve this. Number one, what will we get? QTEL does not provide any evidence basis or research basis for their 5-day institute. There's no evidence or research saying that this 5-day institute will benefit the students at Adams 14. Number two, Do the math. $95,000. That's $28,800 for tuition and a little over $66,000 for travel for 18 people. 10 of the 18 aren't even teachers. That means that only 8, less than half, are teachers. Number 3, a 5-day institute means that they will spend a maximum of 35 hours in class. Maximum. It's probably closer to 30. Number 4, what will they get? What will the science and math teachers get? There are no sessions for them at the Institute. There are only sessions on English language arts, elementary, newcomers or beginning English as second language, and Spanish instruction and leadership. Look at who's going and ask yourselves if it's worth spending almost $5,300 per person for a program with no evidence of success and that doesn't even offer sessions for all of the people going. Number 5, what can you do instead with this money? Now, you need teachers who are endorsed in English language development. $95,000 for that amount, it can get you 20 teachers fully endorsed. That's 24 graduate semester hours. Over 360 classroom hours per person. And they end up with an endorsement for quality teaching. Or number 6, you need to attract bilingual teachers to the district. You can provide a $1,000 incentive for 95 teachers or a $2,000 incentive for 47 teachers. That would help recruitment, wouldn't it? Number 7, it can be done with this English Language Proficiency Act grant. If you had an English language acquisition director who knows what they're doing, then they could help you with this. Heck, I could tell you how you can do this and have a real impact for our students here. Please be fiscally responsible. Do not approve business item 1.2. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Jody Slavic.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jody Slavic. I'm with the Bueno Center, and I've been working with your teachers in the biliteracy program for the past few years. And tonight I want to talk about why the superintendent's plan to give schools the ability to decide on their own bilingual or ELD programs is not a good idea. 10 years ago, this district was facing a crisis of low test scores, much like the situation we're facing today. In 2008, the Colorado Department of Education asked Adams 14 to complete an outside appraisal to determine the root of problems and give the district direction on how to move forward. One of the major findings from this 9-member team was that there was too much variation in English language development and bilingual programming from building to building because schools at that time could choose their own programs. They recommended expanding bilingual and ELD programming under a district-level framework. For the past 10 years, this district has attempted to put a framework in place. The superintendent at that time thought that English-only programming would be the ticket to higher test scores, yet we know that this decision only led to widespread discrimination, hostile environments, and the investigation by the Office of Civil Rights. After years of suffering by teachers, parents, and students, this district finally did respond to the community's needs. It created a framework for kindergarten through 5th grade biliteracy program, as well as bilingual pathways in the middle and high schools. Teachers, parents, and students were excited to begin working and learning under this framework. And yet, under this current administration, we're watching as this framework is being unraveled. Building principals who supported biliteracy have been replaced by those who don't, and the focus is back on English-only testing and curriculum. And now there's a call to get rid of biliteracy after the 3rd grade and go back to having school-based decision-making for ELD and bilingual programs, which is exactly what didn't work 10 years ago. Over 50% of students in Adams 14 are English language learners. This is the highest percentage in the state, yet only 2 out of 12 of your K-12 building principals are endorsed in cultural and linguistic education. Handing the reins over to them to make decisions they aren't qualified to make is not a decision that we support. We are calling for administration who is willing to commit to a district-wide framework that supports strong forms of biliteracy and English language development. We're calling for the return of the ELD director who can oversee this district-wide framework. We're also calling for building principals who support our biliteracy and ELD teachers. On behalf of teachers, students, and parents, I urge the board not to support the plan to give schools site-based decision-making when it comes to ELD and biliteracy programming. As it is shown in the research, as well as in your own district history, this does not work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jody. Jan Carson?
Good evening, President Archuleta, Dr. Abrego, members of the board. My name is Jan Carson, instructional coach at ACMS, political action chair of Adams 14 CTA. Tonight I want to say thank you for meeting with teachers and CTA members and association representatives, for problem solving with us around issues of serious import to our students, for hearing our concerns and responding. Our young kids have recess again, and that is huge to us. For weeks, I've been trying to formulate what that means to me, a teacher of middle and high school students, but I am also a mom. When my little one, now 20, was in elementary school, his teacher told him he couldn't go to recess if he didn't get his homework done. He lost recess once, and never again, and here's why. Tetherball. Every day he met with his friends to play. They made their own rules that were fair and created a space that was theirs. They had purpose. They learned to appreciate the girls who were equally as talented as they. They welcomed them into their tetherball community. They made room. You've given that gift, the gift of purpose and connection and so many other things, right? We've been hearing about all this stuff, what physical activity means to our kids. You've given that gift back to our kids. And we need to give that gift, the gift of purpose and meaning, to our middle and high school students as well. Thank you so, so much for working with us, for hearing us. We care about the same things. And I feel so hopeful at this point that we can actually move forward, working together on behalf of our students. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you, Jen. That's all of the audience comments. So we'll move to routine items. Personnel Superintendent's recommendation. Can I get a motion for the personnel items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, yes. I got a couple. Since I can't mention names, we had our study session on Thursday. We got our packet on Wednesday. One of the gentlemen ranges was a step 4. Now it's a step 6. So I'm trying to figure out to myself, how did it go up 2 steps in less than 48 hours? It seemed like it should have been completed before we got our first, when we got the packet. So now it's changed. So I'm trying to figure out, how did that happen? Or why did it happen? And I noticed that they just said in our updates that it went from a 4 to a 6. but it's not giving us in detail why. Was it something missing, or was it the packet wasn't complete? And if the packet wasn't complete, why was the individual on personnel action for us to vote today?
I don't know.
This person here was a step 6, a 4, and today is step 6.
Mr. Thomas, do you have a page number to reference your comments?
It's on 15, as far as in my packet.
Did you get it? Right there at the bottom. Where's 15?
Mr. Chair,
It's right there.
Yes.
given that this is the consent agenda, I think it would be appropriate if Dr. Brego or anyone on staff could answer Mr. Thomas's question as to whether or not the information that is printed on page 15 is correct today. Other than that, though, I would advise we not have a further discussion, and if there's a concern, then Member Thomas or another member of the board could remove page 15 from the consent agenda.
Do you want to remove? Do you want to answer the question, or you want to remove?
I want to remove, and we'll talk about it in executive session.
Okay. So can I get a motion to remove?
It can be deemed removed.
We don't have to have a motion?
No,
We
sir.
can just do it? So we'll remove it and talk about it in executive session.
Thank you. My next question is, we are moving deans at the high school. And we move it, and we put in another gentleman as a dean in the high school. According to the turnaround plan, the high school is supposed to have 4 deans for each grade level. Is moving the deans from each grade level gonna have a short one dean? Can anybody answer that question for me?
Did you find it? Where's the first?
That's on page 12.
So we do have 3 deans, but then we also have a restorative justice coordinator.
On court,
And then we have the dean of college readiness.
my question again, do you have a dean for each grade level?
Yes.
And the restorative justice, that's supposed to fall up under the roles of responsibility of the principal, and that's according to the roles and responsibilities that was submitted in the turnaround plan for the high school. I don't know if you got a copy of that, but that's what I got right there. And see, this is why I'm asking, because that's what we supposed to have, and that was submitted to the
And we made,
So we made the adjustment because we wanted to, again, keep our restorative justice coordinator and the 3 deans. Again, the restorative justice coordinator supports all of our deans. They all work together as a team.
I'm not disputing that, but the question is what we submitted in the turnaround plan. It says the high school should have 1 dean for each grade. It didn't say.
I can help you with
You
that, I
want to,
believe.
because I'm,
I think, again, I informed board members earlier that the turnaround plan is a work in progress. You can alter that plan as needed, and I believe that's what the high school has done. Again, I think if you ask these questions tomorrow, I think the CD can tell you how the plan works.
Due respect, Superintendent, when I read the 120 pages, the pages didn't say subject to change. inconvenience to make it fit. Now, when we submitted that to the CDE revised plan on June the 6th, 2017, that's what it states right there. It didn't say come back and change, or we're going to change this, we're going to change that. We don't tell the CDE we change certain. When they come into school, they expect to see that diagram and that plan. So once again, I'm asking the question, is there 4 deans and 4 counselors for each grade level in the school, in the high school? Is this a yes or no?
I would say no in regards to how it's planned here. We used, instead of using a dean, we used a restorative justice coordinator, just because, again, our goal was to make sure that our kids did not get into the system. So that was the whole reason of keeping, this was not put in here, and I really believe in really supporting kids not going into the justice system.
And I understand that. So we should have hired a justice.
We did hire, that's what we made that shift, because we wanted, just looking at the data, most of our kids were, again, getting tickets, and we felt like we wanted to be proactive instead of reactive.
Okay.
I like to pull that.
Okay, what page?
It's 12. And on the turnaround plan is page 118.
All right, Mr. Chair, you have a consent agenda before you with all items except for pages 12 and 15.
Right, that's where we're at right now. So any other discussion? So do I need to modify that motion to consent items absent 12 and 14 or 15?
It's deemed modified. So you can proceed if there's a motion to adopt the consent agenda as modified with the removal of pages 12 and 15.
So do I have a consensus?
Just a second. If we're saying page 12, there's other names on page 12, so, and we're not pertaining to the other individuals on page 12.
It's referring to the transfer reference.
Transfer. So it would have to be the transfers on page 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Both?
Thank you.
Both, or just one? Just one.
Just for clarity, are you pulling the first or the second transfer listed on that page?
It's both, because one has to go with the other.
No, it's both, because it got to be
Okay,
two.
so you've asked her to pull both.
Yes.
Okay. Does everybody understand what you're voting on? Any other discussion? All right, roll call, Monica.
Wait, just a minute. Okay, so we go, Mr. Thomas has referred that we go back and we talk about it in executive session. Let's come back and we go ahead and agree with this. Do we have to put it aside again until the next meeting, or can we come back and act on it tonight?
Well, it's been pulled from the consent agenda. So the issue then is you could take it up tonight under new business if you wanted to, as an action item at the end of the meeting if you wanted to. You know, if there's enough information, if the board's ready to call a vote on it or not is up to you.
After the exec session.
Sure, if that's the way you want.
Okay.
Yep. And there is a session is noticed properly tonight, so you can call it at any time during the meeting that you desire.
Pardon me?
You could call an executive session any time during the meeting if you
So we
if you
can vote
wanted
now
to.
if you want.
Go ahead and take, it's up to you.
Okay, so.
You should take care of the consent agenda as modified now.
And then I can have an executive session after that under 24C 4B?
If the board is in agreement on that.
You guys in agreement with that? So let's.
I would prefer to have it at the end of our regular session.
Okay. So we have, I say we do it now. That's my consent.
Well, I would take up the consent agenda first.
Okay,
And
we'll
then-
vote on the consent agenda. And then we'll make a motion, or what do we need to do to have an exec session?
You could motion to modify the agenda to take an immediate executive session.
Okay. So does everybody understand what you're voting on the consent agenda? Yes? No?
I believe so.
Okay. So can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
So now I need a motion to move into executive session under 24C for, help me out here, Jonathan. It's personnel.
We're going to discuss questions of law.
Pardon me?
We're going to discuss legal advice on questions of law.
Legal advice on question of law.
So I need a motion to, under 20, what, it's not a 24C?
You just use what's noticed. Yep. So we can get clarity about what the next steps need to be.
Okay, so I make a motion, we move into executive session under legal advice.
Motion to move into exec.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to put a time limit on it, because we have a lot of people here, and we have students that have to, so I don't want to go back there and discuss for an hour. So my thing is, I would like to put a time limit so that we can come back and finish up.
How much time does the superintendent need? I just want to know why. So it's going to be 10 or 15 minutes.
So let's go move into executive session at 7:05. We'll be back at 7:15.
All right, need a vote.
Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
We had a motion and a second. Did we have any discussion?
Yes?
I guess I missed that part. Nay.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move into executive session for a few minutes.
We need the principal in HR.